Give me a hug,
Hey,
mother.
oh, love you. Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
I agree.
Okay. Oh, it's already recording. Okay.
Hello.
Let's get that out of the way. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So if you are a business owner, or maybe even you are thinking about how you were designed for something great, and you know it. And you know that you're on this path to greatness, but maybe you might be struggling a little with, how do I get there? How do I achieve my goals? Who are the people that I need to be aligned with? What's going to be the best way that I can achieve my purpose, my destiny, my design? And we are really big in living by design and not default. Most people live by default, and then they find themselves just unfulfilled.
Working a 9 to 5, going to your 9 to 5, very unhappy, knowing that you want to do more, but you don't know how to do more. Showing up for work every day, being like, is this all that's really there for me?
Yeah. Yeah. If that's you, we're going to be talking to you today. And so we want to come into a space where we can be our best selves, the person that God designed you to be, who he designed me to be. So I'm on this journey with you, alongside you. Jordan's on this journey with you. I'm Dena Wolf, by the way, if we haven't met. I am a holistic nurse. I've been a nurse for 23 years. I quickly realized there's a lot of symptom management happening. And I wanted more. I wanted to learn more about the human body, why it does what it does, how it's designed. The pathophysiology of the human body just fascinates me completely. And I also knew that God designed me for greatness. And I think, being a mother is one of the greatest gifts that I've been given. And if you're a parent or a mom, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is so fulfilling to raise up the next generation, and see them blossom into who God designed them to be. Because you were here for a purpose at this time. So you were designed specifically in your mother's womb for a purpose. And we want to help you serve and find what that purpose is if you're not sure. And so one of the things that we really dive deep into is your belief system. And so you're gonna that's her area of expertise. She's been on a deep dive for years now, and it's absolutely fascinating to watch her blossom into her divine design.
Well, thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jordan. This is my amazing mom. If you couldn't already tell. I'm a belief code practitioner. I was on a journey for probably the last about 6-7 years. I never knew what I wanted to do. I would get handed, do this, do this, do this, do that. And I would be, okay, I'd start it, would never finish it. Someone give me something else, try this. I'd start it, never finish it. So I was that person that would try everything, and everything I would do left me very unfulfilled. I didn't like any of it. None of it was my forte. I always thought I wasn't smart enough, wasn't good enough. The things that we tell ourselves, right?
All the lies.
Yeah, all the things that aren't very true. But I had to go on that journey, right, of starting, not finishing to actually find out what I really did want to do. And so that's kind of how I got where I'm at, and I'm super grateful for it. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been amazing. And so that's where, yeah, I come in. I love looking at the belief systems and kind of the thoughts behind the things that we tell ourselves. So that's the main, really important thing of the blocks, because we typically are hindering ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I, we were just talking about this, like there's so many things that happen in that first few years of life. So from zero, and even like in the womb, there's tons of studies out that kids who were adopted, they know that they weren't wanted, and they've always had that sense of not feeling wanted. And it's because they knew they were going to be given up for adoption inherently, like it's in their cell DNA, right? And so there's a lot of things that happen even in the womb.
Mhm.
You're knit in your mother's womb for a purpose. God's in there knitting you up, making you, creating you, who he's designed you to be in the womb. And then we come out and we have parents, teachers, family members,
Many close people to us, anybody really.
cousins, siblings,
Yep.
TV, games, these are all shaping our beliefs
Very much so.
in that time period, right?
Yes, yeah. So if you've ever heard stories before of, there has been times where maybe like a mother has been attacked while pregnant, that trauma the baby takes on because it was a traumatic experience for the mom. So when you're born, you go through life and then you have this like shock trauma of when a situation happens. And what happens is the subconscious mind kind of has like a correlated memory there. You may not remember yourself,
Yeah.
but you definitely remember when you're a baby. And so when that situation comes up, you're basically reacting from something from the subconscious mind that happened to you, right? So you bring your childhood brain into your adult life. We don't mean to do it, but it just happens. There's a little window open, especially when you are born from the time that you're 7. We have a little window, it's a little door in the brain, and it doesn't help you decipher what's true and what's not true. So when you have family members or teachers, especially teachers are a really big influence on kids. And I want to emphasize how important it is that teachers know that what they're telling kids is important. So if you go to school and you are a kid that acts up, gets, little in a little bit of trouble kind of thing, and your teacher tells you, oh, you're just so annoying, what are you going to believe? Oh, I'm just so annoying. So then you start behaving as if you're annoying. And so we can't decipher when we're that young what's true and what's not true. Whereas when we get out of that age where that door starts to close, we can then decipher what is true and what is not true for ourselves, right? But nobody really teaches you that, even in the adult life. So
and that plays out in relationships, business, finance, all kinds of different areas, parenting. And so, and this is a good example. This kid, he kept having this, he grew up into an adult, but during his adulthood, he was very suffocating. Like he's suffocating to his wife. He wouldn't let her like even breathe without, like he had to be like right up on her, like all the time. And she just would be like, can I just like have my own space sometimes, and couldn't understand like why he was like that. And so in doing some of the work and finding out, like, let's look at your childhood, let's take a look, like what significant happened in your childhood that would cause this kind of behavior, of just being so gripped on to everything,
latched.
Yeah. And he was like that with coworkers. He was like that with his parenting skills, like everything, right? And so when we looked at like what happened as a child, he was at a theme park with his parents and he kept asking his dad for a balloon, and then he tells the dad, I want the balloon, I want the balloon, I want the balloon. And the dad's like, no, you can't have the balloon. You'll lose the balloon. We don't want to waste the money. You can't have the balloon. He must have asked the balloon like 10 times, Finally, dad's like, why don't you get the wax, monkey or something? And he, no, I want the balloon. I want the balloon. So the dad finally buys him the balloon and, he has the balloon for like a good hour. He's enjoying the balloon. The balloon's awesome. And then, he gets distracted and lets go of the balloon. And there it goes, right? And the dad turns over to him and says, see, I told you, if you don't hold on to things tightly, you lose them. And in that moment, a belief was formed, a decision was made and created. And moving forward, he then knew he had to hold on to things very tightly or he would lose them. So do you see how that little thing plays out in all the different areas of life?
Yeah, Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
There's also a really good story about a girl with the bike.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted the bike, asked for the bike. You know, when you're a kid, there's something that you really, really want so like badly, and you're like, I'll do anything for that, right? You don't have to get me a birthday present. You don't
Yeah.
have to get me Christmas present. You don't have to get me.
Only thing I
I'll,
want. I
I'll
just
help
want the
pay
bike.
for it. I just
Yeah.
want the bike.
Yeah.
And then kids are very persistent. And so you ask. Finally, you get told, no, like money doesn't grow on trees, right? Or, no, we can't afford that. So then you think that money doesn't grow on trees. Money must be hard to come by because you can't have a bike. So we kind of often have a lot of beliefs around money, a lot of beliefs around like our capabilities, like what we can and can't actually accomplish. And like you said, like even just relationship beliefs, right? There's
Yeah.
many, many different types of beliefs, but that's typically how those things do play out. So from being a
And
kid
get
and
created. That's
yeah,
how they get created.
being
Yeah.
told that you're a kid and that you can't have a bike, now you go through your whole adult life thinking that money's hard to come by based off of not being able to have a bike when you were a kid because you wanted it so bad. So you also think too, like, oh, I must not be able to have what I ever want.
Mm-hmm.
So those things definitely play out. And so the goal is to try to figure out, what happened when you were at that age that led you to these beliefs, and what beliefs are you ready to let go that no longer serve you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I truly believe that there's an energy about those beliefs too. Like we talk a lot, like I have two daughters. So Jordan's my oldest daughter, and then I have a younger one, but we often sit down and talk about things like, very real, like, well, what energy are you in this?
So when I was younger, used to feel like I was always left out.
Mhm.
There's a lot of family. I always felt like I never fit in. And that's my own perception. Like from your perception, that's not
No,
true.
that wasn't true.
So this is where perceptions get really interesting, because I always thought I was left out. Nobody ever wanted me around. They would always intentionally pick to play different games than what I wanted to play, all of these things. And so that what I perceived used to play out in my adult life. So when you say like the victim energy, I have friends who would not intentionally, I felt they intentionally would do stuff when I was busy. I would ask to do stuff all of the time. And magically, it always felt like when I was working, they would all go do something. So do you see how that played out from like when I was a kid into now? And so I've
the story that you're telling
I've had to do
yourself.
so much rewiring, right? Of wow, is that really
Mhm.
true? Like, did they
Mhm.
really intentionally go to each other and say, "Hey, she's at work, let's go"?
Let's have a
No, it
party.
just
Yeah.
happens to be that I'm the one that can't make it, and that's okay. There were times where other people couldn't make it and they didn't feel that way. So like when you say like sit down at the table, that would probably be the one thing that's probably happened recently. And that was very, very victim mentality, right?
Mhm.
Oh, well, they're doing this to me. Why is this happening to me? So when we ask ourselves those questions, it's really important to look at where you're at, like what is
What
your perception
energy,
you're
yeah.
coming with? Are you
Mhm.
coming with like a very neutral perspective? Are you coming with the victim perspective? Are you blaming other people? So those are really, really things to kind of take a look at too.
Yeah. And I think that's key too, because when you are not taking responsibility for the way that you feel and your own actions, you will never be in control. Because you're constantly handing your power over to someone else, finding like you're saying, okay, my happiness now belongs to so and so because they didn't invite me. And now I don't get to be happy because
They
they
did this
didn't
to me.
invite me and they did this to
Yeah.
me. Yeah. So it's a very victim energy. And so in our coaching, what we do is we help you determine what energy you're coming from. I recently, it was a couple of years ago, I got in an argument with my sister, and I like got home, like I was very upset about the whole situation. And then I got home and I was like, why are you so upset, Dena? Like, there's people that do this kind of stuff all over the planet. Like, why are you so upset at her? And it's like, oh, because my beliefs and values were challenged. That's why. So I had to take responsibility and be like, okay, you didn't hand over your power. Good job. Number two, if it bothers you, then just remove yourself from the situation. If you can't handle it, then don't be around that situation. And so I personally felt like instead of becoming a victim, instead of handing over my power, instead of letting my beliefs get challenged and me become angry, let me just step back and take a look at why, what is it in me that is, and I really prefer not to ask why questions because it provokes a problem for me. And so instead, I like to say, what is it in me? So instead of saying, well, why did I feel that way? What is it in me that is causing this turmoil? Like, what is it in me that makes me feel challenged in my belief system? I was able to identify it really quickly. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's this. I believe this way. And that is why I am upset at my sister, is because she doesn't believe the same way. So it's like, okay, that's just silly, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, but it created conflict. It was a very conflict energy. But when I was able to take responsibility for it and just changed how I thought about it in a different way, I changed the perspective. So I took myself out of the situation, looked at it a little bit differently, and then I was able to go, oh, well, now I understand why I reacted that way. Now I understand why it upsets me. Now I understand that I need a boundary there. And now I understand, why everybody else in the family acts this way. And so for me, it was like, whoa, like this is a game changer. I now have the power.
But could you imagine if you would have went the opposite way with it and you would have been like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Well, why did this? Why
And I
did
was like that at first. I was like, why did I do this? Why is this happening to me? And the
takes a
key,
second.
it totally does. And
You
like,
have to
what are
kind
some of the other things? Like,
why is this happening to me? Maybe like not like a why am I not good enough?
maybe
but
a blame.
yeah, like this is her
blaming is-
fault.
Point the finger.
You should have, the shoulds
Yeah.
are those are a thing that are not
See,
really good.
But
But
you should on yourself.
sometimes what can happen though, if we are really not careful, is we can, like that situation, if you wouldn't have changed the angle of the perspective of your story of what was playing out, how long do you think it would have taken you to bounce back from that? Or would you still be feeling the repercussions of your actions, of the choices that you made, had you not had the perception?
I would say if I did not know what I know, and if I was somebody who was not doing the work on myself, and I was not grounded in my faith, I would still be circling the victim energy right now, pointing the finger at everybody else.
And being mad, maybe.
And being super beyond angry. And I will tell you, in that whole situation, it was physically attacking me as well. That whole victim energy not being processed, because it took me a while to process it, but
We're
like,
human, it does.
yeah, it totally does. Like, I've got to sit down, I got to like actually think, talk to myself, have a few conversations, like mull over, what am I actually feeling? Because a lot of times we don't take the time to sit down and feel, or take the time to sit down and think. Like, I literally had to journal out like all my feelings and all my emotions and why I was so upset, and what my perception of what happened was. I also sat and worked really hard to be understanding of the other people that were involved too.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, like really having empathy, like, well, let's see, how would that have made me feel? Like, what I did, how it did make them feel, and so I really work hard to do that. Had I not have the tools that I had, I would still say I'd probably still be in the victim energy, thinking it's everybody else's fault, not my own.
And do you feel like it would probably be hindering you from your goals as far as where you want to go?
Absolutely, because I think it's consuming too.
It just,
I would just be playing the loop over and over and over again about how because I was a victim there, the victim
Yeah.
would have followed me
Yeah.
everywhere. And so then when I go to get the promotion, if I don't get it, it's because, you know, everybody's out to get me and whatever. And so the one story you tell yourself, because how you show up for one thing is how you show up for everything. So if you're having issues at work, you're probably having them in your relationships,
Yep, at home.
you're probably have them in parenting, you know, so it's gonna spill over into everything. And this is why it's so important to take responsibility and to do the work,
Mhm. Mhm. I
right?
agree. No, I
Yeah.
agree for sure, because that is what happens. So even if you wanted to take it and flip it into the job aspect, right? Like how you said,
Yeah.
like I didn't get the promotion, it's their fault. I could use the money. Don't they know that I want more money? Don't they know
Yeah.
that I need this for, you know, so and so, like for this situation, right? So they play out in other ways, and it's very interesting to see, but most of the time when you get stuck, you will plant your feet and you will not move. So what you choose to see is what you will only see, right? So how you said,
Yeah.
you
it's
have
like
the
looking
victim
like this.
energy. It's like your glasses, you're
Yeah,
wearing
like
the
I'm putting-
victim filters, you're only going to see that sort of thing of the
Mhm.
why me, the this should have been better than that. Why did this happen? They should have, you know, listened to me. They should have done this, or, you know, the shoulds.
The
So
shoulds, yeah, and then that's handing your power over.
and so one question that's super good to ask, and I don't know if you've ever done this before, but one thing that's super fun to ask, when those things do happen is, how can I validate myself in this situation?
Mhm.
What can I give to me to make me feel better?
Yeah.
So it really gives you that time and space to give yourself what nobody else can give you, because the other people around you in the world are not going to make you happy anyway. So it's very important to sit in with yourself and say, how can I validate myself? So you don't get the promotion, you still know that you're a great employee.
Mhm.
You still know that you show up for work on time every
You're
single
valuable.
day. You are valuable. You're doing a great job. You bring something to the table that nobody else brings. So
Mhm.
you validate you. I may have not got it this time, but I'm still so grateful for this job. I can't wait till I get the next one. So you don't
Yeah.
ever sit in the energy of, well, it should have been me. It wasn't me. Now I'm just not going to try, because that's not a good place to be either. So it's really important to pay attention to how things are playing out for you, or what it could be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so we are putting together a very biblical based, scripture based coaching program for those that really want to quantum leap forward. Like, you know, you were designed for more. You know, you're capable of
Mhm.
way more.
But maybe there's a situation keeping you
Yeah.
stuck, and you're just here, and
Mhm.
you know you want to be over here. So what we want to
Yeah.
do is we want to take you from where you're at, and we want to quantum leap you to the next level, get you to the highest, best version of yourself, and
Yeah.
really guide you into that version with the Holy Spirit, showing you,
Yes.
telling you where to go, what to do, how to do it even.
Yeah. And I mean, let's face it, if you knew how to do it, you'd be doing it already. And so if you are at that point where you're like, you know, I am ready. I am so ready. I'm like, you know, bring it. And but yet, you know, you might need a little hand holding and some tough love sometimes, you know, because I think we've become creatures of kind of like tiptoeing around like certain things. And it's fine, but the growth lives in the uncomfortable area. Like, your growth is outside of that comfortable circle that you're in. And so when we help shine the flashlight in the areas where you're like, no, I want to keep that, you know, in the shadow. That's what the growth is. And that awareness and having that light shown on that area where that recorder has been playing in your life for a really long time, and you're like, oh, so that's why that keeps happening over and over and over and over again, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it keeps rearing its ugly head. I'm tired of the enemy trying to put his kibosh on, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Then you're our people. We are taking a group of amazing women and we are going to grow this into a tribe of kingdom warriors. So if that sounds like you and you want on board, you're going to click the I want in button. When you just took that course that you just took, like, how did you know that was for you?
I was in a place where I didn't know what I needed, but I knew I needed something. I was too stagnant where I was at, and I felt like I wasn't learning or growing or doing anything, which was not particularly true. I just wasn't really shedding back the layers as quickly as I wanted to. So
Mhm.
I knew I needed something, and I just felt it on my heart that that was what I had to do. And
Yeah.
I prayed about it. I invested the money, and I said I will get this back 3 times, and I did.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just you just know that. I don't know how to explain it, you just know that you needed something and you just know that it's right for you. It feels right. You don't really question it. You kind of have like a scared feeling of maybe, I don't know whether I should do this, but I know that if I believe in it and I do it, that I will get the benefit. That's where I was at.
The knowing, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about that too. That is very important. My mom calls it rhema, which is, I don't know if it's a Hebrew word or a Greek word, but it means in scripture, you know that you know that you know that you know, like it is your truth. It is ingrained in you. It is like so truthful that when you hear it and feel it and see it's like in every single cell, it takes over and you're like, yes, like
Yeah.
moving forward. Yeah.
That's
You
one of
know?
that is like the top most powerful level of the belief system too, is the know that you know. You
The
just
know
know
that
it's
you
gonna
know.
work out.
Yeah.
You don't know how to explain how that you know, but you just do.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I have a lot of conversations about that because they're like, how do you know? How do you know that? And I'm like, I just
do.
know.
Yeah, it's
You
like you don't
know?
know how to explain it. I just
I
do.
knew that I knew what I wanted to do when I was 2. And I think, part of the being knit in my mother's womb for a greater purpose for a time as this, I mean, I so feel that in my every cell all the time. And I love that I have that solid knowing, you know what I mean? Like it is such a gift.
It's a refined little skill that you'll get to learn, and it's a lot of fun when you do know it. So I'm
Mhm.
like very grateful for it once you get it. And
Yeah,
it makes it a lot of fun to know just the hows, right? Like, we
Yeah.
all want to know the how, but it's like,
yeah. I don't care to know. I'm like, I don't have to know the how. I just now know that it is.
you just
I
learn
just know that I know that I know that I
you
know.
do learn though that you do know that God's gonna just give it to you.
Yes, yeah, and that's the knowing.
That is the knowing. Then you come from a place of that,
Yeah.
with peace, and
And
it's like,
And maybe you want to know what your spiritual gifting is or your authenticness. Maybe you don't even know what that is yet, but you know you have a very divine design to you that you're just ready to unfold out. This is gonna be for you as well.
well, you're gonna get to learn a lot of things that you probably never heard of before, that will take you from where you're at to where you want to go by the end of it. You won't recognize yourself at the end of the
Mhm.
course for sure. Well, you get to work with you, and you bring
Mhm.
so much to the table. You're gonna get a whole lot of different energy levels of work as well. So you're doing the physical work, but you're also getting the spiritual work done also, because it's very important to work on your spiritual self
Mhm.
and how you show up. You're gonna learn how it's important to show up, how what you think, how what you say, how what you believe is more important, and then you may realize that it is, and really take your life to a place where you're not gonna recognize it from after this.
I would say too, you're gonna learn how to wield your creative power. This is a gift. It is something that you are born with. And most individuals have no idea they even have it. And they definitely don't know how to wield it. And so we're going to show you how to actually know that you have it and be able to use it for your creativeness moving forward. And in the power that it is designed to be used for you. And I think that is a huge crucial benefit, because we are creative beings. That's what we're designed to be. Our designer is a creative being,
And
he
in us,
creates.
so we create.
And he is in us and we create, and
That's just how it is, and it's very true.
Mhm.
Once you learn the power of what you do create is going to be very important. But
yes,
there's going to be a lot of things in here.
that are gonna be
Yeah,
gonna be so exciting.
How to
And-
basically rewire your entire brain.
For divine.
Yeah, with the
Mhm.
spirit,
Mhm.
hearing, knowing, really just unlocking your true potential through the kingdom of heaven, not anybody else.
Not none of that woo-woo stuff.
No.
All designed, scriptured and designed for you.
Yep.
So we look forward to working with you, and click the link below, say I'm in. If you're ready to go on this journey with us, we're ready to have you.
Yeah, we look forward to it for sure. It's gonna be a lot of fun.